Slow your aging with these 4 longevity activities. That's something I'm going to talk about today, so stick around. Hi, my name is Hachiaki Takamiya. I am the author of Live Wiser, Not Smarter. What is the secret to living longer? Well, if you've been watching this channel, you probably know what that is. But what if I asked you this question? What is the secret to living 28% longer? That's something I'll be talking about today. Now, this video is very important because now it is the holiday season and you're getting busy and you kind of drift away from your health practice and so on. But when January comes, you feel, oh my goodness, I need to start doing something for my health and longevity. And now is the perfect time to prepare for that. So to prepare for 2025, you need to watch this video today. So please watch the video until the end. Now, those of you who just discovered this video today, this is the Ikigai diet channel, which is a health and longevity channel. We usually cover things like diet, exercise, mindset, and sometimes we cover Japanese blue zones because there are several blue zones in Japan other than Okinawa, and we cover from traditional Japanese health method to modern Japanese health trend such as chokatsu. Basically, this is a channel about how to increase health span, especially for people over 50 or 60. So if you're interested, please subscribe to this channel. Thank you. Now, what is the secret to living longer? Well, things like diet, exercise, fasting, sleep, and sauna, like deliberate heat exposure or cold exposure, and brain optimization are often talked about. These activities are critical to increasing your health span and increasing your lifespan. But these are a lot of activities. You cannot do all of them. So which one is the best? If you are to pick one activity that is absolutely important, which one would that be? The answer is none of them. I'm afraid there is no single activity that can solve this problem because everything is related. Everything's interconnected. So you need to think holistically. So everything is connected as a whole. Therefore, it is critical to do all 6 of them. Now, having said that, 6 activities are still a lot. So what I'll do today is I will narrow them down into 4 activities, just 4. Then maybe it is easier and simpler. So what are those 4 activities? Which activities out of 6 are the most essential? That's something I'll be talking about in this video. On top of that, maybe for some of you, 4 is still too many, then I'll give you just one activity. If you just do this, this will take care of everything. If you think about living 28% longer, if you just want to increase your lifespan 28%, there is one activity that can help you achieve it. But I'll talk about it at the end of this video, so please watch the video until the end. First of all, I'll share with you 4 activities, 4 most essential activities out of the 6. The first one is diet. Because we eat 3 times a day. I mean, some of you probably eat twice a day, but we eat every day. Eating is very important. It's something we do all the time. And we have a word in Japan called ishoku dogen, which means medicine and food have the same source. So those 2 are connected. What we eat determine our health condition. So the diet is very important. by changing what you eat, it can impact so many aspects of your health, such as gut health, heart health, brain health, and eye health, and so on. Now, the second activity would be fasting. Now, many people talk about fasting. Many longevity experts talk about, especially intermittent fasting. For example, David Sinclair, the author of Lifespan, he speaks highly of intermittent fasting, and he himself practices intermittent fasting. Fasting is good for autophagy activation. Do you know what autophagy is? Autophagy is a cellular recycling mechanism. It is very important for longevity, and through fasting, you can activate autophagy. Yet, other activity can activate autophagy too, such as exercise. But there's another benefit to fasting, that is gut cleansing. You can cleanse your gut by fasting, and gut health is one of the most important elements of your health. On top of that, fasting has some spiritual benefit. Many spiritual traditions practice fasting. If you regard spirituality as part of your health, definitely fasting can help you a lot. And from the point of view of yin and yang, fasting is more yin activity and exercise is more yang activity. They are not the same. So even though they share some of the similar benefits, such as autophagy activation, activities are quite different. So by practicing fasting, you can achieve certain things that you cannot achieve through exercise. Okay, so that means you probably know what the third activity is, that exercise, the yang activity. So fasting and exercise go together because it is a kind of yin and yang set. Now, exercise is also good for autophagy activation, especially if you do moderate intensity aerobic activity for 1 hour. It is said to activate autophagy in the same level as practicing 72 hours fast. On top of that, exercise has another benefit, that is muscle and bone strengthening. You cannot do that through fasting or just a diet. You need to exercise to develop your muscles and bones, which are critical for increasing your health span. And the last activity is sleep. Just like a diet, we sleep every day. We sleep, some of us sleep 8 hours or 7 hours every day. So that is one activity we do all the time. And for exercise or fasting, it is possible to skip. But diet and sleeping, we cannot avoid. We need to do it every single day. Therefore, it is so critical. And it's interestingly, if I were to pick one activity that has been helping me personally, it is sleeping, because this is something I have done consistently throughout my life. For diet, there are times that I had a quite good diet, but there are times when I kind of ate poorly. And for the exercises too, there are times when I exercised a lot, but there are periods of my life that I didn't exercise so much. And fasting, I did not practice fasting for a long time. I only started practicing fasting a few years ago. But as far as sleeping is concerned, I have been sleeping well throughout my life. This is something I've been doing consistently. Therefore, I think sleep is very important to increase your health span and lifespan. And interestingly, it is all related. For example, fasting and sleep are related because while you sleep, you basically practice fasting. You don't eat. And I talked about autophagy activation, the cellular recycling mechanism. So it occurs during your fast, but it often occurs during your sleep. In fact, the timing is important. According to the circadian rhythm, if you sleep at night, That's the best time to activate autophagy. Therefore, fasting and sleep to go together. And when you practice intermittent fasting, you probably include sleep in your fasting window, and you don't eat 3 hours before going to bed. And you probably don't eat 1 hour or 2 hours after waking up. And that is a great way for your sleep. So by practicing fasting, you can optimize your sleep. And that is the same as exercise. When you exercise, your sleep quality will improve, especially if you exercise in the morning, such as going for a morning jog or morning walk, because you have the morning sunlight exposure as well. And having the morning sunlight exposure can optimize your sleep tremendously. What about diet? Diet does affect your sleep. For example, if you eat natto, natto has an enzyme called natto kinase, which can prevent blood clotting, and blood clotting often occur at night while you sleep. Therefore, eating natto for dinner, and then you can let the natto kinase work during your sleep, you can optimize your health tremendously. So everything is related. Therefore, doing all those four activities, you can have a synergetic effect. So sum up, these are the four activities: diet, fasting, exercise, and sleep. So if you want to increase your health span, please do those four activities. But for some of you, even four is too many. And you cannot just think about, diet and fasting, exercise and sleep, and it's just too much. I don't blame you. I understand that. So if I were to give you one activity, is there a kind of best activity out of those four activities? Well, if you think about just living 28% longer, there is one activity that can help you achieve this goal. But before talking about it, I will give you a slightly more detailed about diet. So what kind of diet can you have? I mean, I said, changing your diet, but how? What should you eat? So the best thing is the combination of the Japanese diet and the Mediterranean diet, or you can do either of those. If you live in Asia, probably the Japanese diet is easier to copy. And if you live in Europe, probably the Mediterranean diet is easier to copy because you have the similar ingredients available in your region. But the best way is the combination of the two. In other words, you want to eat a lot of legumes, nuts and seeds, seaweed, vegetables, fish, mushrooms, tubers, whole grains, and fruits. What I call mago wa yasashi koku plus fermented food. Those ingredients are found in the combination of the Japanese diet and the Mediterranean diet. So this is one example of a diet, but for details, please read my book, Live Wiser, Not Smarter. I give you a detailed information about the ideal diet. And the same thing is true for fasting, exercise, and sleep. For those four essential activities, you will know exactly what to do. How long should you fast? How often should you fast? Doesn't fasting cause protein deficiency? It can. Therefore, you need to be careful how you fast. How about exercise? How much should you exercise? What kind of exercise? How often should you exercise? How about sleep? How long should you sleep? Where should you sleep? Any other activities that can help your sleep? You will know everything you need to know. On top of that, the book covers heat and cold exposure and brain optimization as well. So please read this book during your holiday. This is the best time to look. We probably have more time now, and then you'll be ready in January. All right. So what is this one activity to live 28% longer? It depends on people. It depends on who you are, your preferences, what kind of thing you enjoy doing, and your living environment, whether you live in city or in the countryside, your schedule, everything affect. But if I were to pick one activity which probably works for most people, and it is kind of easy to remember, is exercise. Because when you talk about diet, you need to think of so many things, all those different kind of ingredients. But exercise, you just need to do just one thing. If you just pick one type of exercise, that's very easy and simple. Plus, the reason I gave you before. So it is good for autophagy activation, and it is good for muscle and bone strengthening, which are critical for increasing your health span. Autophagy activation is good for disease prevention, and muscle and bone strengthening is good for injury prevention. Those two, disease prevention and injury preventions, are critical to increase your health span. So what kind of exercise can you do then? Moderate intensity aerobic exercise such as walking or Nordic walking. Now, if you do this between 150 to 300 minutes per week, that is recommended. But there is a study saying if you do above this recommended amount, for example, 300 to 599 minutes per week, then 26 to 31% lower all-cause mortality risk. Okay, so 300 to 599 minutes per week, what does it mean? Well, for example, if you go for a walk for 60 minutes, like 1 hour every day for 7 days a week, so you just decide to go for a walk for 1 hour every day, every single day. This is something you do every single day. You forget about anything else, forget about diet, fasting, sleep, and all those things, but just make sure to walk for 1 hour every single day. That means 420 minutes per week. It's somewhere in the middle of the amount. So roughly 28% lower all-cause mortality risk. Therefore, if you want to live 28% longer, all you need to do is to go for a walk for 1 hour every single day. Well, if you think 1 hour a day is still too much, there's another way. This may not be 28% lowering all-cause mortality risk, but there's another thing you need to pay attention to. That is butyrate-producing bacteria, the longevity bacteria I have been talking about. This bacteria was discovered abundant in the gut of Japanese centenarians in Kyotango region, which has 3 times as many centenarians as the national average. Japan has many centenarians, but Kyotango has 3 times as much as the Japanese national average. Isn't that incredible? And the key is butyrate producing bacteria. And there is an exercise that can help increase this bacteria, and that is doing moderate intensity exercise that leaves you slightly breathless. So probably brisk walking or slow jogging, so-called zone 2 aerobic activity. If you do that 30 minutes to 60 minutes, 3 times a week, you can increase butyrate producing bacteria. In my case, I go jogging 3 times a week, and twice a week, 45 minutes, and once a week, 60 minutes. And you want to do just 60 minutes of this type of activity because it can also activate autophagy as much as fasting 72 hours. So you want to include 1 hour of doing moderate intensity exercise in your exercise regimen. But anyway, this is another way. So go for a walk for 1 hour every single day or do this. Yet, I still recommend doing for those activities this is much better, so much better, because it has a synergetic effect that I talked about. But for details, please read the book, Live Wiser, Not Smarter. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Again, my name is Hachinaki Takamiya, the author of Live Wiser, Not Smarter. If you like this video, please give me your thumb up and subscribe to my channel. And please leave your comment. Which 4 activities would you choose from 6 activities? And which 1 activity would you choose out of 4? Thank you. Well, I will see you in the next video. Live with your Ikigai!